We do get sunshine for Saturday and a high of 33 for Sunday and Christmas. Very cold with a high of 39, but plentiful sunshine. Stay warm. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Ooh, I like when you press that one.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right. Well, some of you people out there, you wanted a cold, wintry Christmas weekend. Okay. You happy now? Are you happy that it's going to be 12 degrees overnight? It's like 28 when I drove in to the studios today. Are you happy now? You probably should be. We should all be happy. Little change of season for a couple of days. I'm good for it for about 3 or 4 days, and then I'll be ready for the return to normalcy around here, 60, 65 degrees. Of course, I'm heading south for the bowl season coming up next week, so things should be warmer where we are headed. Hope you're headed either to Jacksonville or to Fort Lauderdale. Of course, Jacksonville I consider to be more South Georgia than Florida. I mean, I know it's considered North Florida, but to me, it's more South Georgia. I mean, seriously, when you cross the border and you cross the James River, do you really notice there's much of a difference in the land between that and Georgia? It all looks like South Georgia to me. And, of course, the weather in Jacksonville is not exactly like the rest of Florida. But hopefully next week for everybody, the weather's going to be nice, and we'll see what happens with these football teams. Of course, we got one team going to wonderful Birmingham, Alabama. That would be Coastal Carolina playing on the 27th. And, of course, you got the Gamecocks and Tigers playing on the 30th. All right, so we got plenty to talk about as we head into the weekend. Let me welcome you into Sports Talk. Phil Kornbluth, Pat Daniel from the Dave & Buster's studio. It's actually pretty warm in here. Feels pretty warm. So a nice job to the folks here. Shout out for keeping us nice and warm. Hope you're warm wherever you're listening to us tonight, either over your fantastic radio station as part of the Sports Talk Media Network, or maybe you're catching us on one of our streams on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. So we got a lot to do tonight. Lenore Sellers signed with South Carolina this morning. So that's a big pickup for the Gamecocks. Everybody who has seen him raves about him. He had a fantastic senior year at South Florence. He was a Shrine Bowl quarterback. He threw the winning touchdown pass in the Shrine Bowl. He was a finalist for Mr. Football. Seems to be an all-round super person, very talented person. Going to be enrolling next month at South Carolina to kind of get a jump on things. The Gamecocks right now with him have 7 quarterbacks on their roster. There'll be some attrition. You got to believe there'll be some attrition after the season. The question will be, what attrition is it going to be? There'll be some attrition that won't really hurt. There'll be one attrition, if it happens, it will hurt. And, of course, we're talking about Spencer Rattler. And time will tell on what he decides to do. But that's a big pickup for the Gamecocks today in recruiting to add Sellers to their recruiting class. And we'll have a little bit more for you in recruiting coming up a little bit later on. We're going to visit with Mike Morgan. Morgan on the move. He was on the call last night of the Gamecocks win over Western Kentucky. We have to apologize to the Gamecocks. Pat, you need to apologize to the Gamecocks. I need to apologize to the Gamecocks. We were hard on them in the first 5 minutes of that game when they fell behind 8-0, and they turned it over like 3 times, and we kind of made jokes, and we kind of made fun of them, and we talked about the small attendance, which was correct. But to their credit, they turned it around, and in the second half of a tight ball game, this game was tight until the Gamecocks put a nice run together and really turned it up defensively. the Hilltoppers, if my memory's right, they made like 2 field goals over the last, 10 minutes or so. The Gamecocks defensively really clamped down. And then offensively, Michi Johnson with 6 3-pointers, a career-high 25 points. G.G. Jackson with 16 rebounds. He had another double-double in front of the NBA scouts, and he's having a terrific rookie season. He's averaging about 17 points per game and about 7 rebounds per game. I don't know what more you can ask of him. And the Gamecocks won that game despite an overall poor shooting night and a terrible night at the foul line. They missed like 10 free throws. So kudos to Lamont Paris and the Gamecock basketball team for pulling that game out. That's a good win. They beat a good team, and that's a good win for them. It gets them back to 500. Eastern Michigan comes to town now on December 30th for a 7 o'clock game. And you might say, if you're not really clued into college basketball right now, you might say, Eastern Michigan, what's the big deal? You know who plays for Eastern Michigan? Imani Bates. Remember him? He was the number 1 player in the country a couple of years ago, and he originally signed with, I think it was Michigan State. Nope, who was it?
He was at Memphis for a year.
Originally signed with Memphis. Yep. And, left and ended up at Eastern Michigan, where I think, is his dad not the coach at Eastern Michigan? I think his dad's the coach at Eastern Michigan. Point is, I'm going to hate missing that game because that'd be a game worth going to with that kid in town to play the Gamecocks. How about that matchup of Imani Bates and G.G. Jackson in that ball game? That's worth the price of attendance right there. The problem is, of course, right now it's a 7 o'clock tip. Gamecocks will be playing football into the tip of that ball game. I wonder if they'll try to adjust the tip time a little bit. I guess it all depends on television and all that, but be ashamed to have that game going on the same time the football game is winding up. So good win for South Carolina last night. They get a win before the Christmas break. We'll hear from Lamont Paris tonight as well. Let you hear what he had to say after the ball game. Oh, how about a visit from Lee Sterling? Got to get you caught up on what Lee thinks about some of the bowl games coming up next week. We'll have a visit from Lee Sterling for you as well. And we'll have some more football talk as we'll hear from Clayton White, USC's defensive coordinator, and Jeremiah Trotter, the outstanding linebacker for Clemson. The teams are now off, of course, for the holiday break. Both teams will travel. Either some will come back to their schools and travel in a team format. Others will just go down on their own. But they'll be there respectively on Sunday at their locations in Jacksonville and Fort Lauderdale, set to begin practice on Monday. And, this is different. Well, from the playoffs, it's different. I mean, when Clemson went to the playoffs, you didn't have the fun and festivities surrounding a bowl game. Now, Clemson went to a regular bowl game last year and the Cheez-It Bowl, so they were able to participate in some fun things. And both of these bowls have some fun outings planned for both of the teams. So it'll be a mixture of playing football, practicing, and all that the first 3 days of the week, and then things sort of settle down, and they'll have some beach time and other playful things to do while they're down there at their locations. And then 7:30 tonight, Birdies and Bogies around South Carolina. George Bryan will join us. And prior to that, MJ Ward is going to check in. You might not have heard this week. Maybe you did. But with everything going on with signing day in football, Augusta announced that Live Tour golfers, if they qualify under the criteria for the Masters, they will be welcome to play at the Masters in 2023. So they're not taking any action to ban anybody who's qualified to be in the Masters. And the invitation letters, I think, go out next week. So if you meet the qualifications to receive an invite from the Masters, whether you're in the Live Tour or you're in the PGA Tour, you're going to get that letter. And MJ is going to join us to talk more about that with the golf season right around the corner and what's going to happen here in the future. There's been a little bit of a shakeup on the Live Tour golf side, on the Live Tour side of things, with some lawsuits and some key personnel leaving the organization. So we'll find out from LJ what all that means moving forward with the golf season right around the corner. So how's that for a Friday night on the eve of Christmas Eve? We got you loaded up, filled up, fired up, and ready to go. And, if you're tired of shopping, if you're tired of, being around the kiddies and the wife and being told what to do and in-laws and all that, feel free to give us a call and let it all hang out. 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. We come to you from the Dave and Buster studio. We remind you to eat, drink, play, and catch the big games all season long at Dave and Buster's, Columbia, Greenville, and Myrtle Beach. Of course, we were at the Columbia location on Wednesday night and had a blast over there. Great people. And you just can't walk into Dave and Buster's and not have a good time, whether you're eating or having something to drink or going in there to play in the arcade. So make sure you take care of yourself and enjoy the opportunity to get over to one of the Dave and Buster's in Greenville, Columbia, and Myrtle Beach. Of course, we had NFL last night. Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars beating the Jets. The Jets now are stumbling toward the finish line. They jerked Eric Wilson out of the lineup last night. And did I say it wrong again?
Zach Wilson.
Zach, why do I have Eric in my head? Zach Wilson, they pulled him. I don't even know who they turned to. Who is their third-string quarterback? I didn't even catch the name because the Mike White is out. He's still, I think, in concussion protocol or something after being hit hard a couple of games ago. But anyway, the key here is the Jaguars. All of a sudden, even though they're still under 500, with Doug Peterson, the coach, and Trevor Lawrence and ETN, back there as well, and some other good players, they're a threat to win that division, not just make the playoffs. They're a threat to somehow win their division if they can continue, to win ball games.
Yeah, and Trevor Lawrence showed off his wheels last night. It wasn't just through the air. He also had 7 carries for 51 yards, and he called his own name on a play you don't see as often in the NFL days. Most teams elect to either bring in a fullback or even a defensive lineman or something for those goal line carries. But Trevor Lawrence took it old school and jumped over the opposing defense and stretched out his long arms to reach for the touchdown. And then that backup quarterback, or excuse me, I guess third-string quarterback for the Jets is Chris Streveler, which I don't think I have ever read or said that name before in my life. But he was also their leading rusher on the night. So both teams depending a lot on their quarterbacks, high winds up there. I think that what made it most impressive about Trevor Lawrence. After adding to his NFL leading fumble tally on the season, he had an early ill-advised fumble where he should have gotten rid of the ball or tucked the ball. He was able to put up 229 yards through the air, which on a night with those winds was not expected.
Yeah. So we go into the NFL weekend with a lot of bad weather games on the horizon. Looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun, I think. And, playoff hopes rising and dying with every game now. You got teams that are barely hanging on, other teams trying to clinch. Some teams have clinched. So looking forward to the weekend. Okay, let's hit the break. We'll come back with your phone calls. 888-898-2525 is the phone number. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to Sports Talk. More than $6 billion in lottery proceeds since 2002 have been used to support educational programs in South Carolina. You can learn more about the lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/education wins. And playing for fun is a win for education. We're not going to think badly of you if you call us tonight here on the eve of Christmas Eve because you're lonely or something. Give us a call. Be right back.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity. And members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives. And as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Hi, I'm Jim Corbett. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years. There's one thing I've learned about injury cases. It's you need the personal touch. You need the lawyer to get to know you and describe your damages. You don't want a case manager talking to an insurance company, then talking to you, and then talking to maybe to a lawyer with limited experience at the last minute to try to settle a case. I talk to you, I find out what your case is about. Jim at JimCorbettAttorney.com. Jim at JimCorbettAttorney.com for your injury cases.
When your day calls for some winning, why not watch your favorite football team at Dave & Buster's? We've got massive HD TVs and hundreds of the hottest new games. Sip from our chef-crafted cocktail menu with exclusive drinks such as the Strawberry Watermelon Margarita or Dangerous Waters. Cheer on the team with Cantina Nachos or wings featuring one of our 12 wing flavors. When your day calls for some winning, it's time for Dave & Buster's, where you can watch the games and play the games. Locations in Greenville, Columbia, and Myrtle Beach.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at ExperienceColumbiaSC.com.
Got a good bowl game going on over in Shreveport. You've got Louisiana and Houston, and it's 16-16, and they are late in the fourth quarter, 16-16, late in the fourth quarter. Coming up, we got Wake Forest and Missouri tonight, ACC-SEC matchup. One game tomorrow, Middle Tennessee State. And then Monday, New Mexico State and Bowling into bowl season in the next couple of days. Phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on the program. We're going to get to your phone calls in just a second. Pat's in the process of fixing something. So once he's finished fixing whatever he's fixing, we'll get to your phone calls. Let's go ahead and get to the phone calls. We begin tonight. Well, I can't think of a better way to open the program tonight, this being the eve of Christmas Eve, than to welcome in, of course, the de facto mayor from the city of Charleston, also known as the Ninja of the Night, the Pontiff of the Port City, the Queen of the Cowboy Crybabies. I know he cried when the Packers beat him. And this time of year, he is the man who makes Rudolph's nose red. Trying to be seasonal here. It's not Jim Rome. He's in L.A. in his mansion, nice and warm. It's J. Rome, freezing his butt off in Charleston. J. Rome, what's going on? Yeah.
Weather.
Great hearing from you.
It's the weather. Hey, by the way, Aaron Rodgers wanted me to relay a message to you about Justin Watson. That's how you catch touchdowns in the NFL, Justin. Read the audible. When I run my sleeve, that means that's just a quick one.
It's
okay?
It's a Christian Watson.
Christian Watson, whatever his name. I know he's from South Dakota. I know he's having sleeves on. Hey, he's used to that kind of weather.
Hey, that kid's going to be a baller for the Packers for years to come. He's going to catch a lot more touchdown passes.
Oh, yeah, great speed. I can tell you that.
Yep.
Hey, by the way, I was watching some bowl game stuff today, and I was wondering, did Ohio State get set up? Because I found out that Atlanta, Georgia is a neutral site, and it's only 75 miles away from Athens, Georgia. So how did that get to be a neutral site, Phil?
Well, I mean, it was picked years in advance for hosting the game. And as you know, the number one team in the final rankings gets the choice of where they want to play. And thus, Georgia being the number one team, it made sense for them to choose their own backyard. I think we
kind of reminds me of an old saying I learned spending 9 years in the Air Force. Rank has its privileges, Jerome.
Yes, it
Get
does.
used to it.
Were you a pilot in the air? Were you like Tom Cruise? Were you Top Gun and all that kind of stuff?
No, Tom Cruise is certified because he does his own stunts. He's crazy.
Mm.
No, you never catch me flying the airplane anymore. I gave up flying once I left the military. I'm not flying anything. I want both of my feet on the ground 24/7. Okay? I don't fly anywhere. No,
are you
never.
saying you wouldn't fly in a plane that you're flying, or a plane that maybe you worked on? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't fly the plane that I'm flying, you're flying, your producer's flying, or anybody else out there that's a pilot is flying. No way. No way.
All right. Well, what do you think your Cowboys are going to do in the postseason? They're going to make a run?
Oh, I have no idea. I know they better win Saturday. If you can't beat a backup quarterback, that's a bad sign. By the way, playoffs, are y'all going to make the playoffs?
There's a path. There's a path to the playoffs. Just got to take care of our own business, win our last 3, get to 9 wins. That's the magic number this year, 9 wins. There is a path for the Packers. Need some help. Need the Panthers to do something tomorrow. Beat the Lions in Charlotte. That would be helpful. That would be useful. And
that ain't happening.
Need Minnesota to beat the Giants. That would be helpful. That would be useful. So there's some things that can happen that would help the Packers. But they got to beat Miami first and then beat Detroit. They finished Miami on the road, Detroit at home, and Minnesota at home. So win those 3, got a shot.
You're wearing me out with these. This got to happen, and that got to happen, and that's got to happen.
Well, let me read you this. I'm glad you mentioned that because let me read you this. You'll get a kick out of this as I got a kick out of it. Let's see if I can find. So Week 16 playoff scenarios. This is for the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, Baltimore clinches a playoff berth with a win, a Miami loss or tie, a New England loss or tie, or a win, a Miami loss or tie, a Jets loss or tie, or a win, a New England loss or tie, a Jets loss or tie, or a tie and a New England loss or a Jets loss, or a tie and a New England loss, a Miami loss, and a Chargers win, or a tie.
Who are your last 2 games against?
This is put out by the NFL. There are 10 scenarios. There are 10 scenarios through which Baltimore can clinch a playoff berth. Anyway, I'm not going to read the other 6 or 7. I just thought when I got this and I looked at it, I said, my goodness, that's pretty funny.
Who are your last 2 games against?
Who, the Packers?
Yeah.
I told you, we're against we got the Dolphins, we got the Lions, we got the Vikings.
You're going to lose all 3 of those.
Negative.
Well, you might win the one because Detroit, they don't like coming outside in the frigid weather, so you might win that game. But
I'm hoping the Panthers are going to rise up. Pat, I'm counting on your Panthers to rise up tomorrow. You going to that game, Pat?
Not going, but I like their chances. I really do. The Panthers right now have tie breaks over 2 of their in-division opponents, the Saints and the Falcons, and they still get to play the Bucs again with a chance to win that. They have the Lions, the Bucs, and the Saints left. If they win 2 out of 3 of those, they're probably in the playoffs. As bad as the Bucs are looking right now.
How about that? The Panthers.
Way to back your way into the playoffs.
8-9 and hosting a playoff game, just like the Seahawks did against the Saints back in the day, and Whitehurst was the starter.
They'll win the division if they do that. They can win the division.
That's right.
Wow. Jerome, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, and you and all the little Jeromes that you have. I'm sure you've completed all your
Jeromes. There are no little Jeromes. There's only one Jerome. That's me. You're looking at it, Phil. Read it. You're looking at Jerome, Phil. That's it.
One's enough. One's enough if you ask me, Jerome.
That's right.
Well, you have a happy holiday. You have a happy holiday, a Merry Christmas. Everybody in Charleston, everybody around the state wishes you well. And don't be a stranger. Call again.
Dittos, Phil.
Dittos. Thank you, Jerome.
Right.
See ya. So I don't have Jerome's number. He's got our number. We don't have his number. So how can we call him? And it's hard to get through the prison's warden to get to, one of the inmates. Only kidding, Jerome. I know you're not in prison anymore. And I'm kidding about anymore. Where are we going next before the break?
I don't know. I'm staying out of all that, though.
We don't have time.
We
don't have time. Well, we'll hit
Jimmy and Simpsonville.
Right,
just hold on. We'll come to you out of the break. Don't want to squeeze you in here.
That's right. And then we'll hear from Mike Morgan and Lee Sterling. Got Lee Sterling tonight. We're going to update. Got to update the Sports Talk Pick'em Challenge. I took time out today to grade the sheets from the championship weekend. You know who went 5-0 picking the championship weekend?
All I know is Smitty is beating the brakes out of all of us.
Smitty's having an unbelievable campaign. But Dr. Rick and Teddy Hefner both went 5-0 in picking championship games. But it's not over. It's not over because you got to pick 10 bowl games. So that gives everybody a chance, okay? And all you can ask for in this world is a chance. So you're telling us we have a chance, and we'll be back.
Point weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's your weekend forecast. Extra cold tonight with heavy winds and a low temperature of 12 degrees. The wind chill drops below zero Saturday morning with gusty winds and freezing temps. We do get sunshine for Saturday and a high of 33 for Sunday and Christmas. Very cold with a high of 39, but plenty of sunshine. Stay warm. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Don't hurt people. Don't take their stuff. Hey, Point listeners, I'm Casey Whitener. And I used to think don't hurt people, don't take their stuff was a basic human value. Then I noticed how many times our government hurts the people it's meant to protect. The British Bulldog Pub in Irmo at 6 p.m. to meet me and my fellow libertarians. Mention you heard this invite on The Point and I'll buy you a pint. Learn more at sclp.org.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting tens of millions of Americans endured bone-chilling temperatures, blizzard conditions, power outages, and canceled holiday gatherings Friday from a winter storm that forecasters said was nearly unprecedented in its scope, exposing about 60% of the U.S. population to some sort of winter weather advisory or warning. A $1.7 trillion spending bill financing federal agencies through September and providing more aid to a devastated Ukraine cleared the House on Friday as lawmakers raced to finish their work for the year and avoid a partial government shutdown. The bill passed mostly along party lines, 225 to 201. It now goes to Joe Biden to be signed into law. On Wall Street, the Dow by 176 points, the Nasdaq rose 21, the S&P advanced 22. More details at srnnews.com.
Attention listeners, con artists have many tricks for stealing your money, but the AARP Fraud Watch Network is here to help you protect yourself and your family. We give you the tools you need to spot and avoid scams. So listen for the AARP Fraud Watch Network alerts. Use our scam tracking map to see the latest scams and sign up for prevention tips and alerts from law enforcement. To learn how to outsmart con artists before they strike, visit aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
I get frustrated when I see people I care about getting scammed or at least misled. Some of these national spots, some of these celebrity endorsements about Medicare, they can be really misleading. I've worked with Tim Hanberry and the team at Medicare Blueprint for some time now. They've helped me so much, and in more ways than one. First, they've eased a lot of stress when it comes to helping my family find the right insurance for ourselves and in the recent past with my mom and for many friends. Plus, they've saved us so much money by educating me on what we can do to get the best health insurance at the best price. Bet you think I've had to pay Medicare Blueprint and Tim a ton of money for all the help they've given? Nope, not a penny. Their service for you is just as free as it's been to me. If you or a parent is approaching 65 years of age, or if you're coming off an employer plan, let Medicare Blueprint go to work for you. I'm not the only one offering my endorsement for their incredible help. Visit their website, MedicareBlueprint.com. Read testimonials from people all over the Midlands. If Tim can help you find a better plan, let him. If he can't, he'll be the first to tell you. Online, MedicareBlueprint.com, or call him 708-7398, 708-7398.
Every animal deserves a home for the holidays. Instead of getting the kids video games, get them a new member of the family. Dogs and cats make great family additions. The Columbia Animal Shelter reminds you there are wonderful and loving dogs and cats available for immediate adoption. Visit petfinder.com to see these puppies and kitties. Adoptions are just $25 for the entire month of December. The kids will never be happier, and you'll give an animal a family and a home. Online at petfinder.com. Happy holidays from the Columbia Animal Shelter.
Hey, it's the Cigar Militia. We want to thank the Midlands for a wonderful first year. Thank you for helping us grow. We had no idea we had so many good friends out there. One thing I love about the cigar culture is we all have our favorite brands, but we're also willing to try new ones too. Come in and get your old standby, or have one of our knowledgeable staff members walk you through the humidor to your new favorite. We're at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard in the same plaza as the Melting Pot Restaurant.
All right, Houston just scored, got a touchdown lead on Louisiana with 20 seconds to go. So barring anything extreme, Cougars going to win that one. 888-898-2525, the number. If you're just tuning in, didn't hear the news earlier today, Lenore Sellers signed with South Carolina, joining the Gamecocks recruiting class. And obviously, Shane Beamer and company very happy about that. He wanted a quarterback in this class. There's more to talk about in recruiting as well. We'll get to that in a few minutes when we have a chance to dive into it. Let's see if this has moved the needle any for South Carolina in the 24/7 composite rankings. And Clemson's still number 10. Let's see if I can get the full rankings here. Clemson's number 10, and South Carolina, if this has been updated, which I think it has been, they're sitting still at number 16. So the Gamecocks are at number 16, and Clemson is at number 10. Alabama is at number 1. We go to Jimmy in the upstate over in Simpsonville. Jimmy, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Good. How are y'all?
Doing great. Thank you for joining us, and Merry Christmas.
Well, Merry Christmas to y'all. So y'all were talking about Spencer Rattler earlier. I was listening to the Shane Beamer call-in show the other night. He said that Spencer was definitely playing in the bowl game, but after that, he's not sure. So I'm kind of confused about that. If he's going to turn pro, you would think he would opt out. And then the other thing I heard.
Not necessarily now. Not necessarily. Not every player who's going to turn pro opts out. Some players do want to go ahead and complete a season. They do want to go ahead and finish with their team. They do want to give the scouts a chance to see them in a bowl setting, and this will be a high-profile bowl setting for South Carolina. Good opportunity for Rattler to give the scouts something else to look at as they continue to evaluate him. So the fact that he's playing does not mean automatically one way or the other what he's going to do. I think just my gut, my hunch is he's going to walk after the bowl game. I just think that's what they're thinking. And I think he's going to walk after the bowl game. I don't know anything. That's just my gut instinct.
Also, I heard that he signed a NIL deal with a Mercedes-Benz dealership. Was that in Columbia? Who was that with? Have you heard that?
It was in Columbia, Dick Dyer and Associates. And, yes, he signed an NIL deal with them. He did an appearance with them, I think it was last weekend. And so
well, you would.
I don't know what he gets as a result of that. You know, I don't know. I'm obviously, I say obviously, I'm assuming he gets a car, maybe a Mercedes to drive for X amount of time, maybe some money, some cash up front. I don't know. But yeah, he did sign something with them.
Well, I don't think his resume was enough this year to turn pro and be drafted high. You know, he may be drafted in the lower rounds, but if he wants to be drafted higher, I think he needs to build his resume and come back for another year. That's my opinion.
That's a good opinion. That's a good opinion. Of course, the only opinion that matters is his and people around him. And, you know, this is a kid who, since he was in high school, has been fed the information that you're an NFL quarterback, you're a first rounder, you've got that kind of talent. And all it takes is one team to like you, you know. All it takes is one GM, one coach to like you, and you're a first-round pick. Would he benefit from coming back for another year? I mean, yes and no, but you got to remember this is already his 1, 2, 3. This is his 4th year of college football, right? He redshirted 1 year, and then he had 2 years at Oklahoma there, so that's 3 years, and then 1 year at South Carolina, that's 4 years. So he's about 22, 23. You know, the years are starting to get up there. You think about that in terms of your career and wanting to make the big money. I mean, obviously he's making some change at South Carolina through whatever NIL deals he has, but he's not making the mega bucks that you'll make when you get to the next level. So, I mean, he might come back for another year. It seems to me if he were coming back for another year, he would have said it already. That's the thing. I think if you're coming back, you go ahead and let people know. Generally, if you're leaving, but you don't want to say it yet, then you wait till after the bowl game.
All right. One other thing, if y'all got to see Lenore Sellers play, has he got a strong arm for a dual threat quarterback?
I've only seen him on video highlights. I wasn't at the Shrine Bowl, and I was not at his championship game because I was at the ACC championship game. Everybody says he's got a very strong arm. He's also very mobile. He runs around extremely well. He had almost 5,000 total yards this season, and he accounted for 67 touchdowns. Now, I know that's, you know, that can be a little misleading at times in high school. DeCarrion Joyner had huge offensive numbers coming out of Fort Dorchester High School as a quarterback. And, you know, look what's happened there. Not saying that's going to be the same thing here. He's a bigger guy. I don't think he really plays any other position besides quarterback. So they seem to believe he's an SEC caliber quarterback. And, you know, Syracuse liked him. Georgia Tech came in and offered late. Liberty was the other one that kind of made a strong push for him as well. So I know Shane Beamer and first Marcus Satterfield, and following him, Dowell Loggins, they really liked him, and they set out to make him the quarterback in this class. So they believe in him. That's all I can tell you. Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Great hearing from you. Let's go to Gamecock Larry in Swansea. Gamecock Larry, good to have you back with us. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Hope you have a great upcoming weekend, sir.
Saturday down, 335 to go. Demo. I got my
Larry, in the spirit of the season, I don't think, you know, we need to be talking nice about people. It's the spirit of the season.
Okay. I love you, Dabo, but we go. No, let me be. You done got me mixed up. Okay. Hey, I got my report from my Gamecock Research Committee. I got my report, and I got 3 things to tell the Gamecock fans. Number 1, Rattler Juice Wells is coming back. Take it to the bank. Number 2, Spencer Rattler gonna call his own plays. Number 3, I done forgot in the world what number 3 is. It must be a good one.
Well, you know what? 1 and 2 were pretty large. I hadn't even thought about that. I just wanted to call and holler at you a little bit. Old Gamecock laying here just thinking and listening to old Phil and all of them talk. But
I wonder which one of the NBA scouts was that game last night. I wonder who did they like the best? The big man, tall man. Did they like Gigi and Michi?
Gigi and Michi. Well, I'll tell you what, we got Mike Morgan coming up after the break, and we addressed that at the very beginning of the conversation.
Okay, y'all have a good holiday. No game call. I just want to listen to you a little bit because my radio don't work. But that's everything, though. Merry Christmas to all. Gamecock Larry, sounding off.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Gamecock Larry. You think he knows something? He says his contacts say Rattler and Wells are coming back, and Rattlers. How about, it would not shock me. It would not shock me in the least, considering their situation, that Shane Beamer has drawn up a plan for Rattler to call his own plays. What do you think? Is that feasible? Obviously you got guys upstairs, but no quarterback today calls their own plays, do they? Almost everything is called in from the sideline.
In college, I would certainly think that's the case. Not necessarily the NFL, but in college, yeah. But this just adds to the mystery now. And Coach Beamer's already had to address it multiple times. Those last 2 regular season games, who was calling the plays? Maybe it was Spencer Rattler.
Maybe it was Rattler doing it himself. Good job stirring it up there, Gamecock Larry. We appreciate it. All right, let's go to the break. And on the other side, Mike Morgan. We'll hear from him and get his thoughts about that game last night and other things in the sports world that's of interest to him as he is headed out to Kansas City tomorrow to call the Kansas City game. And it's going to be really, really cold out in Kansas City. You know that. But he'll be in a warm press box. But we talk about the Northeast and how cold it is for those games, or in Chicago, Green Bay. This time of year in Kansas City, you watch those ball games, it looks miserably cold. We got Mike Morgan coming up after the break here on Sports Talk.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at scattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk here with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. What words of wisdom do you have for those hitting the water this summer?
Phil, collisions can be prevented easily if every vessel operator fulfills 3 major responsibilities. 1, practice good seamanship. It's the responsibility of every boat or PWC operator to take all necessary action to avoid a collision. 2, keep a proper lookout. Failing to keep a sharp lookout is the most common cause of boating collisions. And finally, maintain a safe speed. Remember, boat safe, boat smart.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
Life insurance isn't for you. It's for those you love the most. For a complete insurance review, call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, serving Lawrence, Clinton, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
Thank you. Thank you for world-traveling rocket scientists, for tires bigger than your grandma's house, for 3D printing research, for artists in residency. Thank you for all the things that take us to the next level. Thank you for playing the lottery, for funding scholarships, for funding grants, for funding innovation in this state. Thank you. The South Carolina Education Lottery. When you play, we all win.
All right, just a moment. Going to hear from Mike Morgan. Morgan on the move here on Sports Talk. I want to remind you, too, that, of course, this cold weather is going to get out of here sooner than later. We're going to have beautiful weather once again in South Carolina. And that means you want to get down to the beach for a weekend getaway, maybe a week-long getaway, maybe a month or even longer. And, we want you to give Jimmy Smith a call at Paulie'sVacationRentals.com to take care of all your vacation needs. 843-237-4246 for your perfect beach getaway. Paulie'sVacationRentals.com. Jimmy Smith is the man. That number again, 843-237-4246. Had a chance to catch up with Mike. He was in the airport today when we talked. Here's our conversation. All right, time again for another edition of Morgan on the Move, starring Mike Morgan here on Sports Talk, and it's brought to you by Play It Again Sports in Columbia. Chris Mosley and the gang over there, they have you covered for all your sporting goods needs. They buy and sell quality used and new sports and fitness gear all day, every day. So check them out. Harbison location, 1270 Bauer Parkway. All right, Mike, you were in Columbia last night. You saw the Gamecocks take on Western Kentucky. USC overcame a very slow start. They had a very nice finish. That's a good win for this team coming off 2 straight losses.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I think that and the Clemson win are going to be the two that stand out of conference for sure. And then, we'll see what they do in conference. But it was my first chance to see the team in person, to chat with Coach Paris, to chat with Gigi Jackson, and to kind of see, what's really going on there in year one of what obviously is a rebuild, which is what a number of teams in the SEC are going through, particularly the first-year coaching scenarios. There's very few first-year coaches in the SEC that have a great roster and are going to have a postseason. So that's one thing I would tell Gamecock fans that are getting a little restless. I think some of that stems with going to like one NCAA tournament in a 15-year span, is that you're not alone. There are a number of programs that are going to struggle this year in a league that, I keep telling you this, I think is really top heavy. And the top is really, really good, as in 3 top 10 teams, as in a half a dozen top 25 teams. But once you get past that, there's a lot of teams that are finding their way, and Carolina is one of them. And that was the thing that, Coach Paris expressed with me, is that, we got a bunch of guys that have never played this big a role before. Your top player is a true freshman who just turned 18. Michi Johnson, who was terrific last night. I mean, he was basically a bench player and kind of a disappointment at Ohio State. You got a bunch of Frank Martin leftovers that didn't play very well or very meaningful minutes on a team that didn't accomplish a whole lot. So when you add all that up, he knows what's in store. They're going to have to invade the portal, and they're going to have to really bolster the roster. But for last night, what you saw was the best case scenario, what they're going to have, which is it can't all be Gigi. Michi Johnson is going to have to be a major force for this team, particularly on the offensive end. And then you're just going to have other guys chip in here and there. But those two need to be a dynamic duo for the Gamecocks this year.
And that's what they were last night. A lot of NBA scouts on hand, I guess primarily to check out Jamarian Sharp, 7'5" center forward, I guess you would say, for Western Kentucky. He had a night of 10 points and 5 rebounds, kind of underwhelming. Now, Jackson, he had 12 points and 16 rebounds. And I got to believe the scouts like what they saw in him. It's still early in the season. They'll see him a lot more. But did he show you the signs of a guy that could make that next step after this season?
Yeah, no doubt. And let me tell you, the scouts were there to see more Gigi than they were the 7'5" Jamarian Sharp. Jamarian Sharp is a guy like Taco Fall. Because of his insane height and length, he's impossible to ignore as a pro prospect. But he is not. He's just not a great player. I mean, I don't know how to say that any more that's coming from their own coach. Doesn't mean he can't get a shot at the next level. But most of those scouts were taking a glance at him, and they were glaring at Gigi Jackson. And I came in with a little bit of skepticism because I've seen some pretty good freshmen already this year, including one in Tuscaloosa, and the Miller kid, who is as good a player as I've seen in all college basketball this season. And it's funny because he's built a lot like Gigi. He's got a better shot than Gigi, but I actually think Gigi might be a little more naturally athletic and definitely a better rebounder. There's a lot to like there. I mean, and now what the NBA does so often is draft on upside, and Gigi's got some major upside in his game. So is he a flawed player like every other freshman? Of course he is. But what he has, you can't coach or teach. It's 6'9", it's quick twitch, it's incredibly coordinated, great handle. I'd like to see the shot get better outside, but more importantly, I'd like to see him be more aggressive inside. I'd like to see him attack the rim more. And I know that's what the coaching staff wants as well. But make no mistake about it, you're looking at a first rounder, and not a whole lot of those played for the Gamecocks in the last, half century.
This is true. Mike Morgan on the move. So you talked about the SEC. You talked about it being top heavy. Mississippi State, LSU, Missouri, Arkansas, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee. Well, there's Kentucky too. Their record's a little bit below those other ones, but Kentucky's going to be there. I guess Texas A&M and Vanderbilt, considering what they've done to this point and considering what was thought of them going into the season, they'd have to be considered disappointment so far. Vanderbilt, Jerry Stackhouse got a new contract going into this season because of the expectations. But I got to believe, like you, that this is about as deep and talented an SEC basketball slate that we've seen in one season in a long, long time.
Well, like I said, I think 1 through 6 is really, really good. And that might be the best that I've seen it in a long time. Now, I've seen it all depends how you define depth, right? Because you could say, wow, there's 9 teams that have a chance to make the NCAA tournament, and then you wind up with 6 or 7, and most of those don't get past the first weekend. This year, I don't think the SEC is going to get the 8 teams or even 7 teams they've had in the past, but the 1 through 5 or 6 all could go deep, and that's something that that has not always been the case. So if you're asking me, is it the deepest? It all depends on how you define deep. I know one thing, it's really good 1 through 6, and then we'll figure out 7, 8, 9, and then I think, like every other conference, the bottom third is going to take their lumps. They just are. It's because you look at their rosters and you look at what they're going to go up against in an 18-game conference grind, and they just don't have the horses.
Which one's been the biggest surprise for you so far when you look at the non-conference records? I mean, you see a Georgia sitting there at 8-3. Is that gonna stick for Georgia, or is this just a kind of a teaser here in the non-conference slate?
I like Mike White, and of course the fans wanted him out of Gainesville, and he kind of beat him to it and said, okay, fine, I'll just leave for another conference school, and went to Georgia. I don't know if Georgia's really built for the long haul. I'll tell you the biggest surprise, and I've had them once in person, and I'm sure I'll have them again, is Missouri. And what they did to Illinois last night on a neutral floor, Coach Gates has done an outstanding job. And again, he did it all through the portal. They have one returning kid who's good, and that's Kobe Brown. I mean, he's an all-conference player. He's been in the league forever. The rest of it is a bunch of mid-major portal guys. But if you dig a little deeper, all of their portal guys were proven scorers at other places. So they might have done it at a mid-major level, but sometimes, you know what? If you can shoot and you're wired to score, that translates at bigger levels, bigger schools, as opposed to just getting a kid that was ticked off at his head coach about playing time, and it was an underachiever at a Power 5 school, and you scoop him up and you say, look at us. We got so-and-so from North Carolina. We got so-and-so from Illinois. Yeah, but they couldn't play a lick there. What makes you think they're going to play a lick for you? So I could see both sides of the coin, but that's what Coach Gates did right off the bat. He just went for a bunch of kids that, quite honestly, weren't the highest profile guys in the portal, but they've played very well.
Have you had a chance with all your travels and now you're focused on basketball, but have you had a chance to take a look ahead to the college football playoffs and what you think's going to come out of the two semifinal games?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I just had the Myrtle Beach Bowl a few days ago, so I'm still in football mode. I'm heading to Kansas City as we speak through all this weather to do Chiefs Seahawks on Saturday, to Christmas Eve. But yeah, I'm always dialed into the college football postseason, watching bowl games when I can, and I really am excited. Not to take away anything from the 2-3 matchup, but I can't wait to see Georgia, Ohio State. I think that's one of the few 1-4 games that could actually be really competitive and something to look forward to. So, yeah, I mean, from that standpoint, New Year's Eve, if I'm not working, then I'll be watching for sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll let you go. I know you're traveling out to cold Kansas City. We thank you for the minutes. Have a great holiday, a Merry Christmas, a great call tomorrow, and we'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everybody out there.
All right, Mike Morgan on the move with us here on Sports Talk. Hitting the top of the hour break. When we come back, got a lot of great stuff coming your way. Don't leave us. Be right back.
To happen here. Thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Winter weather is blanketing the U.S. as a massive storm sent temperatures crashing and created whiteout conditions. Correspondent Bob Agnew reports.
More than 200 million people, about 60% of the U.S. population, were under some form of winter weather advisory or warning as of Friday. The National Weather Service says its warning map, quote, depicts one of the greatest extents of winter weather warnings and advisories ever. More than 4,100 flights within, into, or out of the U.S. were canceled Friday. Power outages left more than 1.4 million homes and businesses in the dark. Bob Agnew reporting.
COVID-19 is spreading rapidly throughout China, with experts painting a grim forecast.
An abrupt reopening in China after years of a tough zero-COVID approach has caught the nation underprepared. Many Chinese are still unvaccinated, and hospitals don't have the capacity for a large surge in cases. The opening on December the 7th came as a response to nationwide lockdown protests, as citizens were becoming fed up with increasingly limiting restrictions on their movements. Whilst it's not clear how large the current outbreak is, AP reporters have seen intensive care units overwhelmed by patients and ambulances being turned away in several cities. I'm Karen Chamas.
The Democratic-led House has passed a $1.7 trillion government spending bill. The bill will finance federal agencies through September and provide more aid to a devastated Ukraine. It passed by a vote of 225 to 201. The bill represents the closing act for Democrat Nancy Pelosi's second stint as House Speaker. The person hoping to replace her, Republican Kevin McCarthy, led opposition to the bill. That's a sharp contrast to the Senate, where the leaders from both parties supported the measure. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 176 points, the Nasdaq rose 21, the S&P advanced 22. More on these stories at townhall.com.
My name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold, the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Hey folks, listen, you have to check out Up Faith and Family this Christmas season. All month long, Up Faith and Family is celebrating Christmas with lighthearted movies, shows, and musical specials that keep the reason for this season at heart. And it's all ad-free. With Up Faith and Family, you can stream uplifting family-friendly shows anytime, anywhere on your favorite device for only $5.99 a month. Visit upfaithandfamily.com/Salem and start your 14-day free trial today.
The Florida Supreme Court will convene a grand jury to investigate any possible wrongdoing involving COVID-19 vaccines.
The move comes in response to a request from Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, who said last month,
in Florida,
it is against the law to mislead and to misrepresent, particularly when you're talking about the efficacy of a drug.
And he suggested a grand jury could jog loose more information from pharmaceutical companies about the vaccines and potential side effects.
We also need ways to get more data so that we can better evaluate what actually happened.
Studies funded by the pharmaceutical companies that developed COVID-19 vaccines have been published in peer-reviewed journals. I'm Ben Thomas.
A federal judge has rejected attempts by a close ally of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro to shield him from U.S. criminal charges. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's your weekend forecast. Extra cold tonight with heavy winds and a low temperature of 12 degrees. The wind chill drops below zero Saturday morning with gusty winds and freezing temps. We do get sunshine for Saturday and a high of 33 for Sunday and Christmas. Very cold with a high of 39, but plenty for sunshine. Stay warm. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
And welcome back into Sports Talk, everybody. On this Friday night, it's now time to get some professional help from our man, Lee Sterling from ParamountSports.com. Lee, great to have you with us once again. We're headed into bowl season now. How are you feeling about things as bowl season is upon us?
A lot better now than I felt about a week ago. Phil, normally it takes me 2 full days, about 10, 11 hours each day to prepare. This year it took me 3.5 days and 14 hours the first 3 days. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. I had 3 computers open. My wife even walked by me, and she's like, do you know you have like 35 tabs opened up? I'm like, yeah. To just get a handle on all the opt-outs and all the different, new quarterbacks are going to start that may have only, thrown 30 or 40 passes. I've got to get a handle and watch a lot of tape. So it does get tougher, but I actually feel real good about the bowl season.
Well, I got to believe with all the transfers and the opt-outs and the coaching changes, it's got to be difficult to handicap games this time of the year.
That's the thing. I mean, it's a lot more challenging, but I actually feel good about it. I think there's some situations where some quarterbacks who might be playing, not a lot of people know about, might be better or worse than they're perceived. So as long as I stay on top of it and I work hard, things usually work out okay.
All right, before we get to your picks this week, let's tell everybody how they can get all your information this weekend and throughout bowl season.
Well, they want to get involved. We've won 4 of the last 5 bowl seasons. In 3 of those 4 years, we are above 64% on our bowl picks. Total of 35 bowl games from now through December 31st. In 2 weeks of the NFL, just $197. It's normally $397. Lowered the price, just $197. You can order it right now, ParamountSports.com.
All right, let's get to the games you have for us. One of those is a playoff game. It's Georgia against Ohio State. Bulldogs are favored by 6. What do you think?
So unless Ohio State plays a lot better than they've shown this year, they're in trouble. I mean, Georgia's played in this building 3 straight times, including a couple of weeks ago. That 3-headed monster at running back with Kenny McIntosh, Dejon Edwards, and Kendall Milton, they really use all 3 of their skill sets at a high level here. C.J. Stroud's been good, but against the top opponents, Notre Dame didn't fare well, and Michigan didn't have enough to put them over the top here. And unless Stetson Bennett throws 2 or 3 interceptions, I'm going to ride the Bulldogs. They'll make the championship game 37-17.
All right, let's get to the state teams, both playing on the same day on December 30th. Let's go with the afternoon game first. That's Notre Dame against South Carolina, Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. Lee, Fighting Irish are favored by 2.
Yeah, since the beginning of the season, Notre Dame is now down to the third quarterback for this game. And boy, if they had trouble in bowl games. 7-15 straight up and against the spread, the last 22 bowl games, including just 3-14 against the spread versus an opponent off of a win here. And you talk about horrible red zone defense. Notre Dame, number 129 out of 131 teams. That's dead last of any team going to a bowl game. Shane Beamer, solid 6-1 against the spread here versus non-conference opponents. And his team has won 4 games straight up as an underdog this year. I just think that I'm feeling pretty strong about South Carolina. Wrong team favorite here. Gamecocks, 38-24.
Well, I'm sure Gamecock fans are going to be excited about hearing that information. What about Clemson and Tennessee, Orange Bowl, Fort Lauderdale? It's the Tigers favored by 6 going into this one.
So if Tennessee had their starting quarterback and both receivers, Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt, I might favor Tennessee, but that's not the case. Tillman and Hyatt opted out, and I think it's a huge loss for them here. Joe Milton is no slouch here at quarterback, but I just think it's Cade Klubnik's time here. I think the kid's going to be a star. I think he's going to make a statement at this game here. I just think Clemson has a better offensive and defensive line here. I think they pull away late, 35-24, and I'm going to make a guess. Who ends up the MVP? Are you ready? My daughter. She's singing the national anthem for the game. So everyone tune in early. She'll be the one in the orange dress and the orange Nike dunk shoes.
Well, can't wait to hear her. Good luck to her. And that takes us to your free play of the week. You've got Illinois favored by 2 against Mississippi State. Got to be a little bit difficult to handicap this one, considering everything that's gone on with the Bulldogs.
Yep. Some people might think so, but I think I figured out the matchups. I think I figured out, how high or low Mississippi State will be for this game. They want to get the game. Call 800-400-9741 to get Illinois, Mississippi State on me. And like I said, check out the website, all the specials. We've got a big UFC card also. $50 gets them the UFC card. And if we don't win the UFC card, the rest of January is free. So ParamountSports.com.
All right. Thank you, Lee Sterling. Lee Sterling telling you what to do with those games coming up next week. A couple of quick notes. First of all, updating our Sports Talk Pick'em Challenge. We've got, as I said at the top of the program, Smitty, he's just stomping everybody. 4-1 championship weekend. He's 47-23. So he's got a healthy lead over everybody else after a 4-1 championship weekend. Next would be with 38 correct picks. Fran, the money coach Halloran, he was 3-2 championship weekend. So 38-32. Next would be the big kahuna, Bobby Harton at 37-33. He had a 2-3 championship weekend. So he's 37-33. Next up would be me after a 3-2 championship weekend, 35-35. Back to 500. That was my goal. Get to 500, then go from there. And then following your humble host at 34-36, we have the bad boy Alan Smothers, who went 3-2. And gentleman Jim Corbett, attorney for the Stars, he also went 3-2. They are 34-36. Next at 33-37, Kev Cohen, who had a 3-2 championship weekend. He's 33-37. 32-38 would be Dr. Rick, who went 5-0. And Pat, 2-3 for you. You're 32-38. And should also mention, I missed Chris. Chris Bergen had a 4-1 week. He too is 33-37. So he and Kevin have the same total. After a 4-1 week, he's 33-37. And then at 31-39 is Teddy Hefner after a 5-0 week. And that takes us to dead last. And I do mean dead last. Pete Yanitator, a 3-2 week, and he is 28-42. So that's how we stand going into bowl play. Smitty having a great pick'em season at 47-23, a 4-1 week for him. He's practically clinched, but not yet. Let's see. He's 47-23. Second place is 38-32. We've got 10 more games to pick. He's got a 9-game lead. So we're almost all dormy. We use a golf term here. We're almost dormy. Speaking of golf, let's welcome in our good friend who covers the golf scene for us here on Sports Talk, travels the world writing about golf. MJ Ward joining us from up in the blustery Northeast. MJ, how are you?
It's really good. Nice to hear your voice, Bill.
You too. I know you love hearing football, hearing about Gamecock football in particular, but let's talk about what's happened. It kind of got lost here with everything else going on, but the announcement by Augusta National that Live Tour golfers will be allowed to play in the Masters, will receive invitations if they have qualified.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was unexpected that past champions would probably be permitted to play, because the Masters has long had the connection in which those who have played in the past and those who are present day players are able to be out there on the golf course together. I mean, clearly a past champion, many of whom don't really make the 36-hole cut, but that part of the Masters identity has been really, I mean, it goes back to its founding with Bob Jones and Clifford Roberts. So I don't think that was unexpected. I do think that extending the invitations beyond that, in other words, to use the current formula that they used for the last year's Masters and have it carry over, irrespective of whatever tour you were on, I think that was something of a surprise, maybe not a major surprise, but the Masters brand is something that Fred Ridley wants to preserve and protect. And clearly, by having as many of the top players in the world be able to play at Augusta is something that he feels is more important than, what the connection is that these live players have with Saudi Arabia and how it impacts the United States history, most recently with 9/11.
Now, this is for this coming year, 23. Invitations are going out soon. He did not make a long-term commitment, did he? He just talked about the 23 Masters.
Yeah, he's. I mean, one thing about Augusta, they will never get ahead of themselves, and it's not just unusual, in this particular situation, or they're stepping out of the box and doing something. They make it a point only to comment upon things that are in what I call close to real time. So, I mean, there have been some changes made, to the golf course over the years. A lot of times they will not even talk about it until the present time comes when that particular event happens. So, what Fred Ridley has done is he's attempted to take the air out of the balloon long before we get to the April timeframe. Because if he had said nothing, this matter would have become more and more important for what it's still not going to go away. I mean, there's still ramifications of this issue that are still going to be present. But he is basically saying, hey, as we cross into the new year and invitations go out, that we're going to follow the pattern that we've always followed at Augusta National.
Talking with MJ Ward about Augusta and about Live Golf. Is there some splintering going on the Live Golf side with did I not see where some folks, or at least one important person, one high-ranking officials left the tour for some reason?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always going to be a following of anything that happens, in terms of Liv's operational side. I mean, one of the bigger news stories is that in order to get any type of possibility of talks being started, I mean, you had Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy say that Greg Norman, as commissioner of Liv, he has to go. On the flip side, I think when it plays out as it did for Liv, in terms of the reaction, I think some people may have had a second thought about whether or not they wanted to remain. And with the gentleman in question who was really handling operations side, I think he may have come to a conclusion. This is speculation on my part, that the whole enterprise of Liv as a whole probably would not have been the best course of action to remain with. And obviously he chose to leave. Mm-hmm. I think the issue really for Liv, though, is, where does the future go from here? I mean, I think that's always been the question. It's not a business model that is sustainable. except as long as the Saudis continue to front the money for what's going on. But I don't see any major sponsor that's involved with the PGA Tour saying, boy, we need to be involved. I mean, so, you take companies like Rolex, Omega, a number of the brand names that are global and have long associated themselves with professional golf. I don't think you're going to see them really align themselves with LIV at this point. There's others that are going to be in the same situation because they know that, in the situation dealing with Saudi Arabia and the money and where it's coming from, that's not the kind of thing that you want for your overall brand and position in the marketplace.
Sure. So the Masters will be the first time that we've got everybody back together since the split occurred. And I'm wondering, there's been a lot of nastiness between some of the golfers toward each other. I wonder how they're going to all get along at Augusta National. Do you think Fred Ridley's going to bring them all in together into the Butler cabin and sit them down and say, okay, let's everybody get along here for the good of the game?
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any kumbaya moments at Augusta. The golfers, professional golf at the elite level is sort of like, the Western that you would see from many, many years ago. Each person sits in their own silo and kind of does their own thing. Although they certainly have relationships. I mean, people like Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, they've known each other since high school days or college days. So, there's tight relationships with people. But I also think too that when they come together, certainly there's going to probably be maybe a residual comment will be made by somebody. And maybe somebody will push back on it and say, you're out of line in saying that to me. It's hard to fathom that everybody's going to be, sitting around the campfire and just having a grand old time because the Masters will be the first major. The pressure is going to be on the players who went to LIV to demonstrate that they are really at or beyond anybody that's playing the game of golf as we know it today. So Cameron Smith, Dustin Johnson, Patrick Reed to some degree, any of the players who jump, they need to demonstrate that they really haven't skipped a beat in playing 54-hole golf. I mean, 54-hole golf to this day is viewed by many people as not 72-hole golf. And it would be the equivalent of playing a 7-inning baseball game and saying it's a 9-inning game or playing 60 minutes of NFL football is now 45 minutes of NFL football. So, there's a part of LIV that's going to have to deal in with credibility. And certainly by getting the platform of playing at the Masters, they have an opportunity to showcase that they really haven't, taken a back seat and they're still right on the front lines.
MJ, it's always great hearing from you. We wish you happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Look forward to a lot of great nights with you here on Sports Talk during the 23 golf season. I know the fall season, we've had that, but we've got really the season that everybody starts paying attention starting in January out in Hawaii. So we look forward to that and have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Bill, always a pleasure. And all I can say is go Gamecocks against the Irish. That's all I can say.
Okay. Thank you, MJ. Got that Gamecock underwear on. We appreciate it very much. Happy holidays. Looking forward to seeing what happens this golf season. We'll talk more golf, more technical golf with George Bryan III coming up here at the bottom of the hour. After the break, we'll give you the recruiting report for tonight. Stay tuned for that. That's coming up next.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
When your day calls for some winning, why not watch your favorite football team at Dave & Buster's? We've got massive HD TVs and hundreds of the hottest new games. Sip from our chef-crafted cocktail menu with exclusive drinks such as the Strawberry Watermelon Margarita or Dangerous Waters. Cheer on the team with Cantina Nachos or wings featuring one of our 12 wing flavors. When your day calls for some winning, it's time for Dave & Buster's, where you can watch the games and play the games. Locations in Greenville, Columbia, and Myrtle Beach.
Show your team pride wherever you go with Founders Federal Credit Union's collegiate debit cards. Get your University of South Carolina and Clemson University debit cards at any Founders office or by calling 1-800-845-1614. Plus, our debit cards are digital wallet ready, so you can pay however you please. Not a member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Time for recruiting, brought to you by our good friends at Seawells. They'll be back open next week for the daily luncheon buffet.
No. They are closed until January the 4th.
I was going to say they'll be open next year.
That's right.
For the daily luncheon buffet till January 4th.
Yeah, that's surprising. I'm reading it right now. I wanted to confirm that, but yeah, they will be reopening the buffet on Wednesday, January the 4th. So an extended holiday for the Seawells family.
Wow. Well, congratulations to them. They deserve it. I don't know how many of us can make it that long without the daily luncheon buffet from Seawells. It's the nutrition side of it that I'm thinking about. But make plans to get back to the Seawells buffet. And, of course, you need the best in the catering business coming up in 2023. Seawells, their business has been exploding now that COVID is over and everybody's gotten back to having gatherings and parties. And they're busy as they can be. But they'll make time for you. 803-771-7385 is their number. They're located at 1125 Rosewood Drive in Columbia. So South Carolina got the commitment from quarterback Lenora Sellers today, 6'3", 217. He has lit up football fields across the state over the last 2 seasons, culminating with a state championship and a Shrine Bowl victory this month. And he announced this morning he'll continue to display his skills in state. He signed with USC after previous commitments to Syracuse and Virginia. He became the primary recruiting target of Shane Beamer and then quarterback coach Marcus Satterfield during the season. Beamer offered him in late October. From there, Beamer and his new quarterbacks coach, Dowell Loggins, made a strong push for Sellers, and the push was for Sellers staying at home. That was a major selling point to him. And moving the ball around the field and getting it into his playmakers' hands, that's a strength of his. This season, he passed for 2,948 yards with 45 touchdowns, 1,338 yards rushing with 22 touchdowns. He said after his quick announcement this morning that being around USC commitments at the Shrine Bowl last week in Spartanburg and hearing their pitch also influenced him. He said his decision came down to the Gamecocks, Syracuse, and Liberty, and he'll be enrolling in January at South Carolina. Meantime, the Gamecocks continue to recruit for a few more players to sign in February. One is tight end Shamar Easter, 6'5", 214. He is out of Ashdown, Arkansas. And he has been committed to Arkansas since August, but South Carolina has gotten involved with him primarily through the arrival of Dowell Loggins, who, of course, coached him at Arkansas. So they got him in for an official visit last weekend. He, of course, did not sign this week. He plans to wait and sign in February. About his official visit, he said it was great. He loved the coaches. All the recruits were wonderful. He said they want you to be the best you can be, the better person. Had a great experience. Saw a lot of things that I liked. And he's going to take some time now. Since he has more time, he's going to take some time to think things over before he signs. And he said this extra time will give him a chance to think more thoroughly about his decision. He took an official visit to Arkansas in June. He plans to visit there again January 15th when the Razorbacks host their next recruiting event. As a junior, he had 30 catches for 519 yards and 5 touchdowns. He averaged over 17 yards per catch. He's also a track athlete and participates in several different sprints and field events for his school. USC commitment defensive end Xavier Hardy did not hear from the NCAA clearinghouse today, so he did not sign. He won't sign until February 1st, and he remains locked in, he said, with the Gamecocks. 24 quarterback commitment Dante Reno said today he has not yet decided if he will enroll next month. He said they're going to see how everything plays out after the bowl game. For now, USC has 7 quarterbacks now, counting Sellers. Reno's waiting to see what attrition there might be. AC Florida running back Markel Townsend signed with Lehigh, and USC target Oklahoma State transfer running back Dominique Richardson ended up signing or committing to Baylor. There you go with recruiting. After the break, George Bryan joins us and Tsunami Robbie as well. Birdies and bogeys and biceps around South Carolina coming up.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's your weekend forecast. Extra cold tonight with heavy winds and a low temperature of 12 degrees. The wind chill drops below 0 Saturday morning with gusty winds and freezing temps. We do get sunshine for Saturday and a high of 33 for Sunday and Christmas. Very cold with a high of 39, but plenty of sunshine. Stay warm. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Hey, Point listeners, this is Casey Whitener. Y'all know I teach entrepreneurship at the university. Bet you didn't know I'm also a military kid. Are you a veteran or active duty military and thinking about starting your own business? The Faber Entrepreneurship Center at USC is now registering veteran entrepreneurs for our January cohort of Strive, business startup education for free to military personnel and families. Learn from me and my colleagues and make 2023 the year you start something new. Visit sc.edu and search Faber. That's FABER to learn more.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting storm flooding exacerbated by heavy winds from a winter storm inundated roads, homes, and businesses in parts of New York City on Friday. In Howard Beach, Queens, police officers trudged through knee-deep water to pull stranded motorists to safety in the morning. In Rockaway Beach, Queens, bystander video posted by the Rockaway Times showed a man wading past submerged cars and debris to rescue a child from a flooded ground floor apartment. A judge kept secret that 2 of Sam Bankman-Fried's closest associates had turned against him so the cryptocurrency entrepreneur wouldn't get spooked and fight extradition from the Bahamas. U.S. prosecutors waited until Bankman-Fried, founder of the collapsed crypto exchange FTX, was in FBI custody before revealing that his business partners had secretly pleaded guilty to fraud charges. This is SRN News.
Take a ride with Santa to your favorite gun store, Shooter's Choice. They have your Christmas Day covered with the 25 deals of Christmas going on now through Christmas Day. Guns, ammo, accessories, and even gun safes. Every day, new 25 deals of Christmas items selected store-wide at Shooter's Choice. Prices dropped for that unbelievable deal. For example, $200 off on any Benelli Super Black Eagle 3, 10% off all Savage rifles, $100 to $500 off any in-stock gun safe. You can't find that perfect deal? Good old gift cards, always available to satisfy that hard choice. You get to pick from any of the posted 25 deals of Christmas at Shooter's Choice because they all last until Christmas Day. New deals are posted every day. Check them out on Facebook or the online store at shooterschoicesc.com. For the 25 deals of Christmas, daily arrivals, huge, amazing savings while the supplies last. Shop the 25 deals of Christmas. Let Shooter's Choice make your Christmas a special day. Make your first choice your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
So, let's do word association.
Okay, let's do it.
Barbecue,
Railroad Barbecue.
Brisket.
Railroad Barbecue.
Ribs.
Railroad Barbecue. This is too easy.
All right, last one. Holidays.
You better order your favorite Railroad Barbecue today.
He's right again, because everybody in the Midlands wants the best barbecue and freshest ingredients for their holiday gatherings. Call 803-708-5801 to place your Railroad Barbecue orders Wednesday through Saturday, and make a special note to pick up your order before 2 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Plus, that Railroad Barbecue swag, t-shirts, hats, or gift cards make great stocking stuffers. And anytime you get a taste for that Texas-style smoked brisket or those St. Louis spare ribs, remember we're closed Monday and Tuesday. Here we go, hash and rice.
The best darn hash and rice on both sides of the track.
Railroad Barbecue, 2001 Hampton Street, Columbia.
Hi, this is Marcia Clayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for the Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on the Point for the Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Hi, honey. How was your first day back at work?
Well, that slip and fall sure did cause me some pain and discomfort. This swollen ankle is no fun. Thanks to True Pharmacy, the day wasn't a complete waste.
I'm so glad they were able to get you all set up with your ACE bandage wrap and even a set of crutches.
Yes, who knew you could rent your crutches from True Pharmacy?
And they even have wheelchairs to rent and sell. That's good information to know in case we ever need it for our parents as they get older.
I'm so glad we found True Pharmacy. True Pharmacy, 2 locations, West Columbia and Divine Street.
Hi, this is Chris Neely from the South Carolina Public Charter School District. Join me Monday afternoons at 5:30 as I team up with Kev for Kids First. We'll tackle the issues facing our schools, pointing out the positives with our students and teachers. Kids First, Mondays at 5:30 on The Point.
Straight down the middle. It went straight down the middle. Then it started to hook just a wee bit. That's when my caddy lost sight of it. That little white pellet has never been.
All right, I don't even know, and I know it takes something big and special to keep George Bryan III off a golf course, okay? I can't even fathom that he was out playing golf today, as cold as it was, as windy as it was. Now, it would be a great day to be on the course if you could handle it and get that wind behind you. That was probably a wind that would add, I don't know, 50, 60 yards to your drive, maybe 80 yards. That wind was howling out there today. We welcome in George Bryan III, birdies and bogeys and biceps around the state of South Carolina. Tsunami Robbie Timms is also with us. Once again, gentlemen, great to have you. George, please tell me you weren't on the golf course today.
Well, I actually hit a few chips and pitches at my learning center, and I was putting as Patrick rung me up there. And so, although I didn't play, days like today, just because it kind of blocks you a little bit, it makes me want to play even more. So I don't know about tomorrow either. It doesn't look too encouraging, but I'll tell you right now, it does, because it runs us off. It makes me want to play even more.
Well, I mean, if you're a real man, get out there tomorrow, put on a pair of shorts and a golf shirt, and get out there at 7 in the morning when it's still about 15 degrees, tee it up, and show us how it's done.
Well, I'm glad you said real man. Let's go ahead and bring in Tsunami Robbie Thames. Come on in, Tsunami Robbie Thames.
Man, oh man, you guys are cracking me up. It was so cold, but I even had visions of Florida today. But I'm watching the game in Tampa right now, and they're freezing down there too. So Florida's not a good option either.
Hey, listen to this, man. My buddy Randolph said if we'll play a little faster tonight, he'll invite us to play a very special golf course, TBA, but it does have something to do with a bird, and it is in Florida. Woo! Yeah, so hey, Randolph said we got to play fast.
In other words, you want to go quick tonight?
Well, no, he just said play fast. That means we got to cover a lot of territory.
All right, go ahead. The floor is yours. It's all yours.
No. I was throwing that out.
Yeah.
are you not even curious about the name of the golf course that he took? And he actually threw out there, the faster you play, the higher the percentage that he covers you.
But how fast does he want us to play?
I'll jog it.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about the bird thing first. I'm trying to give you a hint. Well, he's got a big bill. A big bill.
And it's a bird. And
yeah, and you'll see him down at the beach, and he big old bill, and he's got a little chin that hangs down.
Seagull golf course.
Close. Close.
Am I close?
Yeah, you're close.
Seagull.
Bigger
Bigger
bird, bigger bill.
Bigger bill, bigger bird.
Dives in the water. He dives in the water after the fish.
Not a penguin. What's that called?
That'll be a pelican.
Pelican. Yes.
You nailed it. Yeah, and we'll hold him accountable. This guy's he's pretty solid. It's a place called the Pelican. You got to go look it up. That'll be it on this topic because remember we got to keep moving. And he said all we have to do is play fast. Bill, fast.
Pelican Golf Club. Looking at it right here. Pelican Golf Club. Experience leisure and luxury on your own terms. Okay.
I like it.
And this is in Bel Air, Florida. Okay.
So
I'm game.
So, all right. So this is always my favorite time of the year because everybody's watching football. We have the golf courses to ourselves. We always think about the memories that we had over the holidays, and one that is vivid for me when the temperature was in single digits. I played in Williston at the 9-hole golf course, Williston Country Club. I want to say it was Christmas Day. Had to sneak on. It was closed. Single digit temperature with my brand new FG Wilson staff FG 17. Played 18 holes in about 2 hours. Single digit temperatures, and I think it was either Christmas Day or the day after. So that's a fond memory, and my wife got me that set of golf clubs. Surprised me. So I don't remember how I played. I just remember playing, and I did not dress for the occasion. But the game of golf kept me warm. So that's the lesson. Play golf. Like you said, go out with shorts, and you will be warm. If you've got the club in your hand, it just warms you up.
I mean, I really wanted to ask you, considering we are getting hit with this Arctic blast, but there's still people who want to play golf. But it's hard to play golf when you're all bundled up. We all know that. You want something still that's warm and comfortable, but kind of lean and clean on you so you can make your turn and swing your club and all that. So how do you layer up in weather like this if you do want to go out and get some golf in?
Well, first of all, and I did. I appreciate how you handle that. And for over 10 years, what I try to do is try to dress light as layered as possible. And then I figured out go the opposite way. Look at the advantages of putting on the heavy stuff and alter how you play. So I put on lots of clothes now. And I started in 1990, 91 it was actually down in Florida trying to figure out how to play in the cold. And what I did is just put the heavy stuff on, and you can't swing as big. So what I did is just hit more clubs, swung whatever I could with those clothes, and it actually turned out to be pretty decent. I could it limits excess motion, and I played smaller swings, shorter shots, and anyway, there are a lot of different ways to play this game. The Tsunami Robbie, I don't know what you do to navigate in the cold, but that's what I do. I go ahead and dress warm and swing less. And don't worry about not having that flexibility. I'd rather stay warm.
Yeah, I've had some moments in the cold weather that I almost wish I wasn't out there, especially when the wind is blowing. Even half of what it was blowing today, it can cut right through you. But I can remember back talking about those memories. And one of the best rounds that I ever had was in an on a cold weather day. I was paired with a guy in a little scramble that he was a struggling golfer, let's say. He didn't have his game going that day, and we were up against a couple guys who wanted to kind of put their foot on our throat. And with those, I had heavy gear on, just like you talked about, George. And I felt restricted in everything I did, but it's almost like it kept me in plane, where I just could pick the club up and drop it down on the ball and kept down the middle of the fairway and got around the greens and made some putts. And we ended up taking the cash that day. So that was a good memory on a cold weather day.
How much cash did you take, Robbie?
That was only about 20. Everybody had $20 then, so we only took about 40 out of it. But it was fun since they were talking all the trash to begin with.
There you go. That warms you up, just getting that W, kind of rubbing in their face a little bit.
Hey, I'm glad you mentioned warm up. This segment's been sponsored by Tsunami Bar Sports for a while, and we got some technology out there that Tsunami Robbie, the golf team at Tsunami Bar Sports, Ken Taylor, Mike Ramsey, we've about come to the conclusion that the first place to talk about technology like the Tsunami Bar is with a warm-up. So Tsunami Robbie, talk about the Tsunami Bar technology and where it fits with warm-up. Hey, not just golf, but other sports. Take it away.
Yeah, the warm-up is vital in just about everything we do, and golf is no exception. Everybody, I'm that guilty guy that used to ride up the other three guys in the foursome. We're on the first tee, and I roll up in a golf cart trying to put my shoes on, and I don't even put a tee in the ground. Just throw the ball on the ground and try to go. I'm not even close to ready. But I've learned through the years that it's much more fun when you don't start out behind the 8 ball. You can get that first tee shot and feel good about it, and that usually starts with a good warm up. And something, the 47 from heaven, or the Laginator, or the multi-stick, or any of the mobile units that we have in our technology are great. They get warmed up right there at your vehicle in the parking lot, or to put it in your bag, and when you're waiting on the first tee, when the next group is teeing off, take 3 to 5 minutes, and you can be ready to go. It makes a big difference, and that flexible technology that's not something that wears you out or puts a big pump in your arms where it might restrict your range of motion a little bit. It's great at getting blood flow going, and Dr. Bismara talked about that. Getting this technology is the best he's ever seen at getting blood flow to the extremities. So when you can get some feeling in your hands on a cold day, that's a bonus. And when you get some feeling in your feet and you feel like you can grab the ground, that's a bonus. And when you can turn and get your backswing and get good impact area, that's a bonus. So why not get warmed up, play well, and enjoy your round up instead of complaining about it right off the first hole when you shot double bogey and you're already struggling. So get warmed up.
Phil, help us out a little bit. I know you putting videos up. How do we, anybody out there listening want to see some of those warm-up videos featuring and starring Tsunami Robbie and Phil Kornblut? How do we find it?
No,
Phil?
Tsunami Robbie's the star. I'm just a stunt man there to, take the fall and get hit upside the head by the bar and all that kind of stuff. You can go to our website, SportsTalkSC.com. I happen to think it's an excellent website to go and visit to get information on things happening around the state. And then all you got to do is you look over right on the right side there, and you'll see, first of all, a digital ad for the Tsunami Bar. And you can click on that, and that'll take you to the website for Tsunami Bar Sports. You can learn all about them right there, the training center, the technical aspect, how they design and build, the advisors like Tsunami Robbie and Tonal Wave. Robbie can explain that, all about training. Great website, terrific website, tells you everything you need to know. Right below that is where we have the video with Robbie explaining the usage of the Tsunami Bar. Right now we have got our demo number 5 up for viewing. And this had quite a bit of action out there in the stratosphere, or the, what do you call it? The out there in Video Land, wherever
Yeah,
it goes,
that place.
out there streaming. Yeah. And we'll put up another one here soon, get the next one up. And pretty soon, I guess, we'll do some updated videos and cut some more and put some new ones up.
Hey, here's
Yeah,
the
looking
thing.
forward to
Go ahead and
that.
give yourself, if anybody out there listening, got to give yourself a Christmas present. If you think warm up, just getting your body a little in better condition to swing before you take the first one live at a golf ball, then go ahead and look at the multi-stick 47 from Heaven. It's $89.95 on the website. Then you, if you're a little more concerned with hitting some balls but can't, get you a Laginator. So if you want to mash the tater, and get you a Laginator. That not only visualize a few swings, so it depends on where you are. If you want to warm up, get your body a little better, in a little better shape to hit a ball before you take that first swing at one, multi 47. If you're a little insecure about hitting golf balls, get a Laginator. That'll take the edge off and give you a little more confidence. Just take 4 or 5 swings right out of the trunk. You can fit it in the bag, and on the way to the first tee, you can snap a few off. And so there you have it. Hey, if you wanna really get better faster, get both. And then what we do is we send you videos. So now Robbie and I have videos out there, YouTube land, and we'll send them to you to make sure you understand how to get the best use out of them.
And let's explain to the folks, Robbie, that the Tsunami Bar is spread out throughout the country. It's in training rooms, it's in weight rooms, it's in college football rooms, NFL rooms. It's used all over the country now. It's become very famous, and great athletes, professional athletes, college athletes, they're all using it. Must be a reason that it works for them to help them achieve what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, Phil, you're correct. The bar is that 12-year long overnight success we just kept at it, kept developing the bar, trying to improve it, make it better. Used a lot of my coaching experience and put a lot of those touches that I saw in the previous versions to upgrade it and make it something that would be a legitimate weightlifting, weight training, physical fitness, strength and conditioning item in collegiate and professional weight rooms, and that's exactly where the bar is at now. It's a polypropylene scale. It's got insides of fiberglass. It's very light. So instead of a 45-pound bar, you only have maybe a 15-pound bar with the biggest one, our max bar. But it can hold up to 540 pounds of raw weight. And then when you get that bending with some dynamic flexibility, depending on the speed of that motion, you can take that well over 1,000 pounds of force that you're having to handle and recruit muscle for. Now, I'm not nearly strong enough, not even in my prime, where I can handle that kind of force. So we got the other bars, like the force bar, which there's a science behind that and why it's called the force bar and where it fits in the program. And then the speed bar, I only put 25 pounds aside on a speed bar. It's a 62-pound setup. Nobody thinks that's extremely heavy at all, but when you put speed into that, it can deliver a 415-pound central nervous system response. So you have to recruit for it, and your body has to respond to it, and you don't get the muscular and skeletal abrasion, the breakdown, the soreness, the days and days of recovery that you would with traditional training. So it's been very successful, and I think that's exactly why a lot of these athletes are using it. They're having less on-the-field injuries because they get more recruitment in their stabilizers compared to the traditional steel bar training, and they get more recruitment in their prime movers compared to traditional bar training. So there are tons of benefits, whether it be strength or power or injury resistance, I'll call it, where your joints have more integrity because the muscles around them are better able to handle the impact and the quick change of direction that you get in the sports that we play. So here's the thing. Go ahead, Phil. Last week, 2 weeks ago now, you had David Abernathy and Mike Armstrong on, and sure, here's what I learned from David Abernathy.
This is the only technology out there that helps you get that training to the grass, to the field. That's the biggest advantage of the tool. So if you want to get more done and for exercise to be fun, you got to try it out, at least look at it. If you want better application, so there's theory and there's application. When you get your work, you invest your work, you want a return on that work investment. So Ab says get it to the grass through the Tsunami Bar. So there you have it. What were you going to say? I cut you right off.
Well, you mentioned David. I was going to mention David as well, the creator of the Tsunami Bar, guys. And he told me when I saw him a couple of weeks ago, the beautiful thing about the Tsunami Bar, Robbie, and I guess you would know this better than we would, is that for the athlete who's working out and trying to get bigger and stronger, compared to using the old-fashioned, what was it, steel bar, I guess, that you had the weights on, he said it's much easier on the hands. Much easier on the hands. You can lift all that heavy weight, but you're not putting, the stress on the hands, on the grip that you were previously with the old-fashioned bars?
Yeah, the direct line of pressure, because the bar bends, at a motion where the hands are the primary support, say such as a bench press where you're underneath the bar, your arms are extended, the bar is in your hands above your chest. And a traditional barbell, the direct line or the weight, the absolute weight of the bar is a direct line of force directly from the hands into the wrist, into the elbows, into the shoulders, and there's no relief point in there. Anywhere through that range of motion, you bring it down, you got gravity working against you, so that's going to increase that force just a little bit, and the hands are the first line of resistance that has to absorb it. The Tsunami Bar is different in that the weight of the bar is displaced to the ends of the bar, and it has flexibility, so that parabolic bend in the middle of the bar takes that direct line of pressure and force off the hands, off the wrist, off the elbows, and off the shoulders. And that's a big part of why we don't have or don't see to this point, 12 years down the road, near the number of shoulder injuries, hand injuries, wrist injuries, and elbow injuries that we see in traditional training.
Yeah, and then in short, we're talking about a rubber thermal that material that's soft, whereas the metal is just abrasive, it's steel. And when the tack to the hand, to the skin on the hand itself, the Tsunami Bar is a lot more friendly, and I got some terrible hands. And Phil, you see when you saw me last week, you saw how jacked up I was.
Pumped. George, like I've never seen you.
But you know how important that tactile sense is to me. And that's that. And for those that don't know me or hadn't seen pictures, I'm greatly exaggerating. But when we get on this radio, we just blow ourselves up just a little bit.
That's why radio's a beautiful thing, because it's all about the image in one's mind, and we let the audience, draw their own conclusions.
Hey, I want to go ahead and point out a couple of things. You can go visit that bar and check it out for yourself right here in Columbia. You got 24/7 fitness and and the Players Club downtown Columbia on Main Street. Low Country Golf, Custom Golf, David Ayers down in Mount Pleasant. Coosa Golf, 2 locations in Columbia. Andrew Allen, golf fitness expert over in Ainer near Myrtle Beach. Old Edwards Club in Glen Cove, if you're heading to the Cashiers this time of year, that's about the only thing open is their training fitness center. And so different golf courses around the southeast, you can find them. And so go to the website though and check out. And fellas, I know it's we got to be sneaking up to needing to putt out on this last hole, and I think it could be. Well, I think we'll be in next week unless we have the weekend or week off. Are you still gonna? Well, no. I tell you what, we need to tee it up a little earlier next week, don't we, Phil?
If you want to, we'll talk about that. I think next Friday we're going to be tied up with all the bowl stuff going on because both the Gamecocks and Tigers will be playing, but we can certainly get an earlier tee time if you guys want, or maybe if you want to enjoy the New Year's holiday and have the weekend off. It's up to y'all, whatever y'all want to do.
We'll talk about that.
Want to do.
we'll figure that out. I want to go ahead and congratulate Summer Bell Fair. She is in Spartanburg, and the 11-year-old, had her very first hole-in-one hitting a 7-iron at the creek. And what I'm doing is trying to find the details.
Well, that's just not fair.
Oh, it's not fair, is it?
It's not fair.
When I was looking at what it was a post, and I happened to know this young player. She said, "I was shooting a 7-iron. It was it was witnessed by Carrie Rosetar and Bella Rosetar, and it was 67 yards at, again, the creek." So how about that? Hole in one. How about that? Nothing like the perfect shot. So, hey, you just gave me my little. It's my time to go ahead and putt out, and so, man, until next week, tee 'em high but shoot 'em low. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Robbie. Merry Christmas, George. Thanks for being with us, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Okay, there you go. Tsunami Robbie and GB3. Appreciate that. Birdies and bogeys and biceps around the state of South Carolina. George has got the birdies. I got the bogeys. And Robbie's got the biceps. That's how we spread it out. Pat, Merry Christmas, my friend.
Appreciate that. Same to all of our listeners out there, and happy Hanukkah to you and your family.
Well, thank you. We wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We'll see you Monday.
Someone will be right with you.
The Point. WQX